Sometimes I get this question in the comments. What exact paints are you using? Of course, I'll list the palette I used for this miniature oil painting. But here's the thing, guys. You can absolutely swap out the colors. What really matters is keeping the balance between light and dark, warm and cool, vibrant and earthy. Try this as an experiment. Paint the same kind of landscape, but replace yellow ochre with cadmium yellow. You'll get a different result. But it'll still look great. Different, but great. Which brings me to a question. Do we really need to copy things exactly? Or maybe go even further and invent your own palette from scratch? For example, swap out that moderately warm, slightly swampy, natural umber for Mars Black, and cadmium red for magenta. You'll end up with a cooler, more dramatic image. But if the composition, light, and shadow are working, the painting will work too. So don't get too hung up on specific paints. I get it. I also had teachers who'd say things like, well, in this situation, without cobalt spectral violet, you're not solving anything. And yeah, that used to throw me into a mild panic and a tiny bit of awe. But now I feel like that approach might be just a little too precious. I mean, we're here to enjoy painting, to relax a little and bring something nice into our day, not to suffer through some tortured creative process just because we think that's what serious artists do. Hopefully, this little rant helps you squeeze that paint out a bit more confidently and smear it onto the canvas with joy. As you can see in this piece, I've got both Imprimatura and an underpainting going on. I'm using semi-opaque paints, so the lower layers shine through, which is actually great. The Imprimatura helps with adhesion between the ground and the paint layers. Oh, and by the way, I made this panel myself. Right here, there should be a link to a video where I show how to make unlimited painting panels at home for basically the price of a cup of coffee. You'll also notice how all the colors here are built off one another. I don't wipe the brush, just let the previous color flow into the next. If something comes out too clean or saturated, I tone it down with a bit of umber, either raw or burnt. By the way, how do you feel about the smell of paint? You know that moment when you open a brand new tube and go, It's like unpacking a brand new technique. Let me share a little trick with you. Sometimes you'll notice that the buildings look lighter than the ground. Other times, it's the opposite. So how do you know what's right? Here's a simple guideline. If it's close to midday and the shadows are short, the ground will usually look lighter. If it's late in the day and the shadows are long, the buildings will likely appear lighter. It all comes down to the angle of the sunlight. Where the rays hit directly, it's brighter. Of course, this is a bit of a simplified approach, but it's a solid starting point, and it's enough to get a nice painting that you could actually give to a friend or family member. And honestly, I think giving a painting as a gift is a great idea. First, it's not something people typically buy for themselves. Second, it feels meaningful. And impressive too. I mean, if you Google around, you'll either see printed replicas trying to look like paintings for $300, or actual paintings for $1,000 and up. And third, it's personal. People tend to hold on to gifts like that. And let's be real for a second. Painting something yourself is both more enjoyable and way cheaper than buying a kitchen appliance. I know how that sounds, but I'm being honest with you here. And I hope you'll be honest with yourself too. That mindset actually helped me a few times. When I moved to a new country, things were really tight financially, but I still wanted to give something meaningful, and this kind of gift turned out to be perfect. Of course, it's not a one-size-fits-all rule, and honestly, I'd probably be more excited about a new blender, but only because I already have more than enough paintings lying around. While the paint's drying, let me show you something. This is me picking out an easel. Doesn't matter what brand it is, what really matters is the weight. The heavier, the better, especially if you're someone who tends to get expressive with the brush. There are so many little details that can make or break your experience. The right brushes, good paint, the right mediums to mix or thin it, proper canvas material, and even something as basic as how you hold the brush or where you stand while painting. Some of these things I learned in art school. Some I picked up from other painters, some came with time. But the one thing I know for sure, never stick to just one teacher. Learn from many and eventually you'll find your own voice. If you're curious, I put together a painting course. It's for beginners, but also for anyone who wants to ground their practice in real technique. It costs about as much as filling up your car, but way less depressing. You pay once and get access for as long as you need. Links in the description. The painting has already dried a bit, and it's looking interesting, but I want to bring a little more life into the details. Let's take a smaller brush and keep going. The colors are the same, just placed a bit differently this time. By the way, this bright patch of sky wasn't planned. I added it spontaneously. Decisions like that, they're not mistakes, quite the opposite. They're an important part of painting. When you give yourself a bit of freedom, unexpected things happen, and often it's those moments that make the painting come alive. A landscape is probably one of the most natural ways to slow down. There's no intense plot, no pressure to get likeness like in a portrait. It's just you and nature is in no rush. A mountain doesn't hurry to become a mountain. A cloud drifts however it wants. The grass moves however it feels. And little by little, you start matching that rhythm. You stop pushing, stop trying to force it, and just observe. And it works almost like meditation. The brush moves, your eyes follow the shapes, and tension starts to melt on its own. But here's the paradox. This kind of relaxation isn't passive. In fact, it's the opposite. You become more present. You notice that a shadow isn't just gray, it has a greenish tint. That tree in the distance isn't really brown, it's full of soft purples. Your attention starts working differently, not like when you're staring at a phone screen, but like actual physical presence. You see, instead of just looking, and over time this starts to carry over into everyday life. You begin to notice more, the way the light falls on a wall, how the sky shifts colors in the evening, the way a shadow from a cup flickers when the wind moves the curtain. So when you paint a landscape, you're not just training your eye, you're training yourself to live with more awareness. And this kind of awareness, not tense but alive, it's what makes both painting and life feel richer. Then, at some point, while you're just sitting there, brush in hand, watching one color fade into another, silence shows up. Not because you force it, not because you're trying to prove anything, just presence. You relax. Not because you should, but because you've stopped running. You feel yourself in the moment. You feel your hand moving, the paint settling into the canvas, and maybe your head feels just a little bit lighter. In that way, painting is more than just art. It's a form of self-care, a quiet little ritual where you don't have to be productive, smart, or entertaining. You just get to exist. And in that just, there's a lot of power, because most of the time we forget that we even have the right to pause. But here, it happens on its own, through the motion of the brush, through the gaze, through the breath. So if you're painting right now, let go a little. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to make it better. Just trust the process. This isn't a test. It's not a performance. It's not a duty. It's just you and the color, you and the quiet. And that's already enough to feel a little better, even if just for a few minutes. You know, life is already complicated enough. We're always solving something, analyzing, worrying. So do we really need to turn painting into another source of pressure? This isn't a philosophy exam. Less overthinking, more simple, quiet joy, just being with yourself, without trying to figure it all out, explain it, or justify it. The world is complicated as it is. Sometimes the best thing you can do is not try to decode it, and instead allow a bit of calm inside. When you sit down to paint, give yourself a chance to like yourself. No conditions, not for skill, not for the result, but just for showing up, for opening the paints, for starting something. At the end of the day, you are the closest person you'll ever know. So give that person a bit of your time, not in a rush, not between tasks, but truly with respect, with interest. Because if you learn how to just be with yourself, without expectations, without beating yourself up, all right, let me explain. Since the trees are an object, not just background noise, they need more contrast. So we'll start, as usual, with the shadows. As you can see, I've already darkened them, and now I'm slowly building up detail. Darks first, then midtones, and finally the highlights. That's what gives them depth and a sense of completion. Yes, the bushes will get the same treatment, just softer, since they're not as important to the overall story of the piece. Now you might be wondering, Alex, why don't you just paint everything in the right color from the start? Well, first, layering. We've talked about this. When colors show through from underneath, it adds complexity. Second, we're people, not printers. You can't get everything perfectly covered in one go. Tiny unpainted flecks will always stay. But with this layered approach, those missed spots end up working for you. They create a kind of natural texture, like scratches, chips, or subtle surface variation. And finally, maybe most importantly, it just makes the painting look like a painting. Not clip art, not a cartoon, something handmade with a bit of life to it. For that to work, the lower layers need to be darker and warmer. The more important the object, the more detail it deserves. Wouldn't you want to live in a little house like that? I would. Honestly, I dream about it. Kinda wild how owning your own place has turned into some distant fantasy. I mean, these days it's probably easier to build the thing than to get through all the paperwork, but hey, let's not go there. We're here for art therapy, not a political rally. What are the little things that make your life feel brighter? I mean simple, repeatable things, like cardamom tea or a cold shower before bed. Share in the comments so the rest of us can try them too. It's one of those cases where the more people contribute, the more helpful it becomes. I really hope it doesn't end up being just one comment. It's strange how something so small, just a bit of paint on a palette, a brush, a simple wooden board, can start to feel like a safe space, like a little quiet corner that belongs only to you. Everything else, the deadlines, the news, the overthinking, stays outside. And here inside the space, there's just color, movement, breathing. That's one of the things I love most about oil painting. It's not only about creating something beautiful, it's about the calm that comes with it, the predictability, the small choices you make, which brush to pick, where to place the next color. They give you back a sense of control. In a world where so much feels rushed or random, this tiny moment of I choose starts to mean a lot more. And yes, this is exactly why many people talk about painting as a form of art therapy. Not therapy with rules and goals and outcomes, but something softer. A way to feel better without having to explain why. You're not painting for likes or grades or perfection. You're just being. You and the paint, you and the silence. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice how warm this painting feels. It's not just the subject, it's the actual tones. There's something almost storybook-like about it, something soft and a little magical. A lot of that comes from the use of warm colors, especially yellow ochre. It's one of those pigments that instantly gives a sense of light, air, and a bit of nostalgia. It's gentle, but confident, just a touch in the right place. And suddenly the whole piece starts to glow. That's also where a small brush comes in handy. It lets you make those quiet adjustments, tiny shifts in temperature, gentle transitions between light and shadow without overwhelming the shape. Especially in oil painting, those little touches matter. The lightest stroke of ochre along the roof, a thin line at the edge of a tree, a whisper of warmth in a shadow, they all add up. And here's something I've learned, often the hard way. Don't treat any part of the painting as finished. Just because you painted that tree or that bush once doesn't mean it's done forever. Everything is connected. If you darken the mountain a bit, maybe the tree needs more contrast too. If the house becomes warmer, maybe the foreground has to soften to match. It's not about fixing mistakes. It's about keeping everything in conversation with each other. Think of it like tuning an instrument. You don't just tune one string and walk away. You go back, adjust, listen, come back again. So as you're painting, don't hesitate to revisit areas. Don't feel like you're messing up what you already did. You're not. You're harmonizing. You're helping each part find its place in the bigger picture. And for a while, that's enough. There's something deeply human about this process, about seeing the color blend, about watching your hand move, about making space for something slow. I don't know about you, but I think we need more of that. Not as another task, but as a way to breathe differently. So if you're here now, whether you're painting, watching, or just listening in the background, I hope you can feel that too. That quiet sense of this moment is mine. You don't need to do anything perfectly, just show up. Let the brush move, let the paint be paint. I'm now finishing up this painting, just one piece from a much larger series, and getting ready to place it where it belongs, in the old spot inside that antique cabinet. It's tucked away in the back of the herbal shop in Barcelona. You might have seen it in the movie Perfume. If you ever visit the city, stop by. The atmosphere there is something special. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Sending you a warm hug and wishing you more light, softness, and quiet joy in your days.